Okay, so the pieces we did from section G had a chance to dry. I mean, this isn't glued in. I just wanted to position them on the ship just to kind of show you guys. So eventually that'll go there, and we get the one up for this upper deck, and then down in the forecastle we have the other one. So all of the varnish is dry, the glue is dry, and we're ready to move on. So let me put her aside, and we're going to take a look at the instructions. So we finished section G, and now we're going to go to H. So section H, we're going to build our first structure to go on deck. Well, other than the grates, but we're going to do, now I wonder what this would be called, like a skylight or something that's going to go on the upper deck just before the poop deck. So you can see we're going to have to stain a lot of things. And then we have to put the little guide pieces, and we're going to glue this where the well deck is. And then we have to paint everything. And we're going to put the little lifeboat rests on. So my notes, my latest notes, this is section 8. And when this is section H of the manual, we're going to cut out the structures. So these are going to be H1, H2, and H3. We got to stain them. And then there's going to be a plastic sheet that we cut to form. We got to sand it to dull it out. But it's going to be the glass. And then we'll assemble the structure. And we put the little window frames in place. We got to do the roof, H6. And eventually we got to put the lifeboat supports on, and then we got to paint all the pieces or the structures that are going to be on the decks, that brown. So why don't we start right away? I think what we should do first, let me show you the pieces we're going to use. This would be the H5. Let's see. I think this would be the H6 and the H7. So we'll put that aside because we don't have to stain it, and we don't have to stain the roof either. We got to varnish that later on. So let's start off. This is going to have to be stained, and the pieces of the structure. So let me show you guys. So we got H1, H2, and H3. So we'll get all these ready. We'll be using the walnut die. So I want to get all the pieces that we're going to need to stain, because you remember in our last video we had done the little supports for the lifeboats. Those are all set to go. So when it comes to the stain, we got to do the window frames, and we'll do the little housing. There. All right, we need a little bit more dye. And where are my tweezers? Here they are. Here we are. Put all that aside to dry. Okay, so while we wait for everything to dry, I think we should do the pieces that didn't need to be stained. And let's start with the section that's going to go on the well deck. So this is going to be the top, And we're going to need the H7. And what we're going to do with this is going to keep it in place when we put it to guide it in. It's going to kind of keep everything centered. And lastly, we got one that's going to go over here. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to file these down. And this is going to go just on the grate, just inside. There we are. We'll give that a second to set. Again, I think these are going to help position this hatch or grill over the well deck. Okay, while that sets, I think what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and prepare to have the lifeboat pieces put on. Let's see. We're also going to glue the other sections onto the ship. The other grills, that is. So we don't have to put these little pieces on the other grills. So the one that's going to go on the forecastle, the little hole that we had to cut out, is actually going to be in the front facing the ship. It's going to be on the left hand side, and this one is going to go up on the second deck, the second tier. So while we wait for this to set, why don't we go ahead and we're going to glue those into position now. Alright, so the one at the front of the ship, it looks like it's going to go right up against the wall. And again, this section is going to go like this. And we'll line it up just like that. So I'm going to line it up with the top of this piece right here. So we actually need to put little ties see parts B, where we're going to tie off the rigging or the boat. So those are parts B. So let's get those pieces out. So it looks like they're going to have to go right at the edges. of the middle sections. So I got my little scribe, and let's see if I'm going to be able to do this. I wish I would have known that before putting in these little pieces, because I don't want to disturb these. So it's going to go right into the center. Again, I think these are going to tie down the lifeboat. Okay, and because these are so long, obviously we don't need them to be this long. Just a tiny little bit of glue on the hole. And now we're going to take these pieces and I got to use the tweezers. My fingers are too big. So what I want to do now is I want to push them in. There we are. I hope you guys can see. So these are going to be the tie downs for the lifeboat. Okay. So now what we got to do is we have to actually paste down the little supports. So let's glue these in place. And these are going to go right in the center. So I wanted to make sure to line them up. So there we are. So these are ready. And make sure that they're straight. So this section now is ready to glue into place on the deck for the well deck. So let's bring the ship back over. Put this aside for a moment. So let's put a little bit of glue. And what we're going to do is we're going to put it right along this section. It doesn't say anything about having to stain these pieces. It is going to go in well. The fit is really snug, so we don't really need a ton of glue. But I just want to make sure it's going to be facing the correct way. And just like that, beautiful. Let's take this one off. It's not glued down, so it looks really nice. So we've got the one on the forecastle deck glued down, and we have the one on the deck well, or the well deck, glued down. Okay, so now I think everything is dry enough where we can start working on that little structure. So let's take this little piece of plastic, and we actually have to lightly scuff it up. So I got a little bit of the fine grit sandpaper. What I want to do is I want to just cloud it up a little bit. So I'm going to put this back with the rest because I don't want to risk losing it. And I want to put a little bit of the glue just so we can get the window in. Let that dry. All right, what do we got to do next? Now we got to take the little pieces that are going to form the window frames. All right, this is a little more solid now. So what we're going to do now is we're going to actually put the window frames, and you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's one on either side. So let's snip these. So let's go ahead and glue those on. So now we'll do one in the middle. That's pretty cool looking. And what we'll do is we'll wait for the glue to set, and then we'll kind of trim it all down, and then we'll sand it. Okay, so that's good. So what we got to do now is we got to start thinking about the roof. So that's all we're going to need for this. Let's put this aside. So for the roof, we're going to have parts H6. Let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need 3 more. So I'm going to put my finger over the top and check it out. So you can see how the window is cloudy. Looks good. If I can get you there. There you go. Check that out, man. That's looking pretty wild. All right, let's see if we can actually sand this down now. So let's start with the middle. And let me try to show you the little house. So now we're going to wait for that to dry. So let's put this one back aside. Here we are. So maybe I'll put another coat when it's dry, just to get it a little more grungy looking. All right, let's put it aside now. That looks pretty good. So let's give it a light sand over the top. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on this section, just the area that's surrounding the deck. There you are. Hopefully you guys can see that. And we're going to wait for the varnish to dry up a little bit because we have to do the painting on the roof. So let's that dry a bit. Let's put the light back on. There. So that, my friends, was the completion of part H in the instruction manual. You can see the little structure in the back of the skylight. We ended up doing that. That looks pretty cool. Everything will be dry when we move on, and we're going to move on to section I in the construction manual. So my friends, until that video, thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.